Welcome to the Mask Off Podcast, the intersection of life, mental health, and hip-hop culture. I'm your host, Hawaii Mike, and today's guest, somebody I've known, probably since y'all came out-ish, 30 years, it's gotta be. One half of the infamous Smif N Wessun, the General Steele.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure. We start off every show by taking our mask off,
okay.
Right? So I'm Dylan Michael Salmon. That's my real name. And you are?
I am Day Jr. Daryl Anthony Yates Jr.
Daryl Anthony Yates Jr. Where you from? Where you born? Whole family situation? What's the vibes?
I'm born in Brooklyn, Kings County Hospital. Son of Barbara and Daryl, you know what I mean? I think, let me see, what else? Yeah, Cephalo Projects is within Brownsville, Ocean Hill, Brownsville. But before we moved to Cephalo, I had lived in Brownsville section, like Tapscott area, before my moms and pops got it together. What else?
Wait, so you say you lived there before your parents got together?
No, before they got it together.
Oh, before they got it together.
Before they got it together.
And then moved y'all to
I grew up primarily in Cephalo Peace. Cephalo Projects was one of the last projects that was erected in Brownsville. Okay. In Brownsville section. You have Tilden Projects, you have Langston Hughes, you have Brownsville Projects, you have Van Dyke, Howard, where Master Ace is from. Okay. Glenmore Projects. But Cephalo, my father, my moms and dad started, my moms and pops started, it was, they stayed with my father's mother. Okay. She's straight gangster, Grandma Dottie, straight gangster. I learned later that Grandma Dottie was originally from the Bronx. When we were young, Grandma Dottie would take us on a trip to see her father, Anthony Yates, and in the Bronx. The Bronx was such a long journey for a kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it was for me, it was kind of like a highlight because where I was raised, I wasn't really going anywhere. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really the amusement park kid, really like that. But that was primarily the men in my family. My father never knew his father. Mm. So that was a one disconnect, but we never paid attention to that until, later. But that was my foundation.
And what did your parents do?
My parents was the, how do you say I guess the common blue collar workers, They were young. My mom's had me at 18, and my dad was like 21, 2, something like that. So they were just getting jobs. Mm-hmm. My mom was, her family was primarily from the South. And they moved from the South to New York. So she's like a sibling of 5. Mm. And 2 of them was born in New York, the rest of them down South. So they had them down South values. So, and this is my theory. I didn't really talk about it with my parents, but I think once my pops knocked her up, he had to get married. Mm. You know what I'm saying? It's you 18, you got to do what's supposed to be supposed to marry her. You know what I mean? And there are pictures of them at their wedding, and my mom's is pregnant. You know what I'm saying? So it's these are the groundation rules. They started as just some young kids that just was trying to get it right. This is, we're starting from here. As far as I can remember, my mom was just like a house mother. You know, she held the house down. My dad held down 2 jobs. He worked in Kings County Hospital and Brookdale Hospital until they couldn't do that anymore. Then my mom's later, she did the clerical thing. She built up. She I guess she got tired of being a housewife, a house mother, A house, what do you call it? A house,
Housewife.
A housemaker.
Back then,
'Cause she held the house down. She
then it
was
was
really
housewife, but
the housemaker, right?
There you
She's
go.
more than a housewife. But I think she got tired of that role and wanted to work. You know, at that point, I guess a little bit of friction because it was not the norm. But I can't really remember what was the first job she had. But one of the gigs I remember she had worked as a court officer, right? And I think it was the time, because it was a time when whatever was going on, they was looking for African American peace officers, right? And I think people were just filling out applications, and interestingly, both of my parents, like my dad was a CEO on Rikers Island. Like after all of the working in the hospital stuff, like that was where he landed. And by that time, my pops was like a full-blown triple OG alcoholic. So that job at Rikers Island didn't last. And he hated that.
Yeah.
He hated it. He's like, man, being locked up, that's real. Like, you locked up too.
Yep.
You at work, but you all locked up too. So I think like he probably increased drinking just to get out of there. And then after they let his ass go, he wound up being like a security guard in this this complex. I forget where it's at. It's like on Hillside in Queens. And like before he passed away, that was his last gig. And it's crazy because I went to his job one time, and you know my pops used to, when he was on the island, he worked at OBCC, right? That's the Wow building, right? Well, all the Wow.
I mean, Rikers is.
So I get it why it wasn't for him. Like, he's not an inside. He's never been like that type of person. So when I think about him, it gives me some perspective. But like seeing him at the complex working that job, like I ain't like that. I ain't like that at all. You know, like he's a security guard. He's driving around in one of those little motorbike, little carts thing. He's watching the thing, but he was chilling. He looked like he didn't have a problem. Like I'm like, man, I gotta get him up out of here. But he was like, I'm good. And like you know, I remember going through that. Our relationship was crazy, but going to see him there, I didn't visit him that much there. But he's like, you know, his coworkers knew who I was.
That's funny. And then what about, you got siblings or just your only child?
Yeah, I got two brothers.
I got
two brothers. One that just left here. That's my youngest brother, Christopher. And topped off, OGC is my brother.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom's worked as a CO as well, a court officer in family court.
Okay. That's a little easier than CO on Rikers Island.
Yo, that's a little easier. It was that was around, like I was super reckless at that time. I was running around doing the most reckless stuff I could do. Well, not the most reckless stuff. Let's say I was adventurous. I knew the difference between one more strike and you out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, how far you want to go? But my mom's was a court officer in family court. And this story is important because this is where I met my PNC cook, which is responsible for introducing me to tech.
Oh, shit, okay.
So I went to school with Cook. And I met him. This is like the first day. I don't know nobody from Bed-Stuy. I can't say I've been to Bed-Stuy yet. You know, so I'm coming with Brownsville cats. I'm coming with T. White and Sean Price. That's who I'm leaving Brownsville, going to school with. And I meet this guy, Cook, Taiwan, as his name ain't Cook yet. And he just was very talkative, you know. So I figured, you know, whatever. He pretty much seemed like he knew everybody. But it was a lot of Bed-Stuy guys in Manhattan. And we talking. I wasn't really, into that, but I'm new. It's freshman years. You gotta look around, survey the land. My point is that this guy we talked to a point where we wound up getting on the same train, right? He talked to the point where we wound up getting off at the same stop. And then we was like, yo, where you going? This whole conversation been going on since we left school. Like, where's you going? Yeah, I'm going to see my mom's. Yeah, I'm going to see my mom's. Where you going, though? Long and short, both our mothers work in family court. They are friends, right? So from there, like, our relationship was like signed and sealed. Like that was like a message from God, right? It's like, yo, we PNC for real, like, and they still friends to this day, my mom's and his mom, and like, it was always like, I guess, like it was written for us. So through all of those jobs that they had and where they landed, and what I guess passed the baton to us, because me and Cook is still friends to this day. So.
And what was Brownsville like? Pretty easy back then, right? Nice and gentrified, like it is today. like what's your average day in the Ville?
The Ville was how do you say, training ground, I guess.
Okay.
It's rough. It's rough, man. Coming up, like going to public school, I can remember walking through empty lots. And I went to public school with a mutual friend, Kenny Montgomery. Okay. We went to school from 2nd to 6th grade. And like I was just Brownsville. I was like Cephalo, Brownsville in the Bronx. Okay. Yep. Don't tell me what part, or ask me what part of the Bronx. I just knew it was in the Bronx. It was forever on the train. But Kenny was from somewhere else, and he would come to Brownsville to go to school at 327, and I was like, yo, what is he doing? It's dangerous over here. I thought he was rich, you know what I mean? I thought, like, this kid, what is this kid? I thought, I gotta protect him. Like, so just to your point, like, what was the hood like? Even a young kid knew that he had to protect what was precious to him. I grew up, my mother and father was in the house. So I knew stuff. I knew respect. I knew fear. I lived on the 14th floor. On the 2nd floor, my grandmother lived there. My mother's mother lived there with her siblings, her sisters, and her brother. There was a lot going on, and then, our cousins. Me being the oldest, I always looked outside. I wanted to do something else. Those kids was breaking my toys. They was, stuff came up missing, I wanted to go to somebody else's crib. All my friends had the better Ataris and toys anyway. I was always adventurous, trying to find stuff. So by the time when I found Cook, like that's my brother. I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. And my house there's a lot going on in my house too. It was violent in my crib. At that time, my pops and my mom's was it was abusive in there, and the split was there, and obviously I took my mom's space, but it was rigid at that time, still running around teenager, like I was messing up in school. The hood was the hood, like I said, I was looking for stuff. I was looking to go other places anyway. Cook was from Brevoort, so I spent a lot of time in Brevoort, learning the land over there. Brevoort is just a little bit different than Cephalo, so every hood is different. I'm learning hoods. My father's mother lived in Brownsville, so I'm learning Brownsville. By the time my parents split, my mom's lived in East Flatbush, across the street from Glenwood Projects, and that's another different hood, East Flatbush. Within like a week of being over there, you learn who the gangsters over there, the hoods, the corner boys, or whatever. I met UG on that side. That's where his side. So as rough as the neighborhood was, it was also fun and inviting. You know, if you know how to watch yourself, watch your step respectfully, it's always dangerous everywhere you go. But I learned so much, man. I was like, my antennas was up. So every hood, like when you see us talking on the mics, like rapping and stuff, like we've really been in all these hoods in Brooklyn. Like I've lived in Canarsie, in East Flatbush, in East New York, Church Ave, like all these different places, and I've built up relationships. So through relationships, you start, you know, it's just this culture. You start to cultivate this culture and not really realize it's so beautiful.
Was music a big part of your youth at that point?
Absolutely.
Or was that how you was connecting with people? How were you really connecting besides like Cook? Because that's obviously just school.
Cook was before the rap. It was before the rap. Cook was there, might have been there when I first went to my first studio session. Yeah, he was, and I was doing the Stevie Wonder, good. But music was always there. Music was the fuel, man. I mean, the backdrop for just running around in the city. You know, my uncle God put me on to the reggae sound clashes. He was showing me the tapes, and that had me wired. My dad was feeding me the soul music. He liked to play records in his crib. He had the Pioneer with the straight on, you know. He was like spinning this subliminally, you know, you're eating that. My grandma's had her sound, my other grandma had her sound. And then ever so often, they would have jams in the park right across the street from me. And because I'm on the 14th floor, I had like
stadium seating.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I couldn't go in it. My pops wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. So yeah, I was always intrigued by it. I didn't have a radio on my crib. It's funny because I was just talking to my son, who's 27 right now, right? And I'm like, yo, I was brought up on black and white television. He was just had the big eyes, like I heard about that.
And you had to get up and change the channel.
You know what I mean? You had to go, you know? So, and I, you know, and it took me a minute before I got a television in my room. So prior to that, you're doing like, you're reading, you're exercising your imagination, you're playing with your figures. I had Star Wars figures, I had Transformers, I had Lego blocks, and these things like everything wasn't outside. But again, it was often turbulence in my crib, which had me in the room, you know, until I was old enough to go, you know, or go downstairs, go to my granny's house and stuff like that. So it wasn't really too much moving around, hanging out on the curb and all of that. Like that was in between things. You know, you saw that. You saw that there. So.
I mean, so that turbulence, did you have to come to a point like talk to your brothers and like let them know what's going on? It was just like kind of all clear, or?
I think I was too young to have that conversation, man. And my pops, at that point, my father's alcoholism, it was taking over, and I had got old enough to started to speak back, and you know, that got me taken out of the house. Like it was decided that it was best that I leave for a while.
How old were you then?
I would say about maybe around 14, 15.
Oh, so like freshman and sophomore in high school?
Yeah, like freshman. And where did I go? The Cook crib.
I was gonna guess grandma, but
nah, I didn't want to go there. Grandma Dottie was mad strict. She was gangster, but she was strict gangster. So it's like and then, you know, Grandma Janie, it's like it was too many kids down there. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't really have much. It was rough living down there. You know what I'm saying? They was fighting over water down there, fighting over water and ice in the crib. I'm like, man, it's fun here, but let's just go outside. Like I had food in my crib, but my food was rationed. You know what I mean? And then Granny, my pops, she was shameless. Like she like, yo, go across the street, get the free lunch. She was like, we're not doing that. You know, but this is where you meet the Brownsville cats and stuff like that. So You learn the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Quick, fast in Brownsville.
So you end up with Cook. How long you with Cook?
I can't remember. Man. I swear, like certain parts, maybe the trauma allowed me to push that part down.
Mm-hmm.
What I do remember is staying there and like being bored as hell. Like I'm like, because I'm still technically I'm in someone else's place. So I'm like, man, I try to invite a girl over. I don't know if I was successful, but young kids, man, we be thinking about anything, man. Like I didn't know what to do, but I remember the day beds, the throwback day beds, the pull-outs.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think about how I was gonna make it the most sexy way for this. It was my teenage sexy day bed.
Got you, baby. Come on, we got this.
But I think it never happened though. I just remember like, should I pull this one out? Should I leave it? But it was home, man, and because I guess his mom and my mom was friends. Mm-hmm. Like I call her mom, naturally. And her energy was just like that anyway. So I guess it was a break for me because I never spoke to my brothers about that.
Mm. And they stayed, obviously, right?
Yeah, they stayed.
And did you ever go back?
I mean, shortly after that, my mom was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So like this is for me, I stayed out. I was staying out. At that point, it was like now I'm just hanging, But I wasn't looking for nothing. I just was outside. And that's like the breaking day, breaking night. So it's like, and my pops had a thing too. If you pretty much don't come in by the time the sun is go down, don't come in. So
Well, it was that.
you gotta be like, I was at grandma's house. So, you can say I was at Grandma Janie because it's a little loose down there. And like 9 times out of 10, the door be open. That's how they crazy. It's dangerous, but the door be open, like, and you love it though. You love it.
Life when you start to reflect on these things is wild.
Bruh.
Like the things you grow up in, especially at our age and growing up in a city like New York at that time, it's different.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, man, it's still what I miss about it was the community.
Yeah.
Like everything was kind of like you knew what it was. You knew who the drunks was. You knew the alcoholic was. The robbers. They knew who not. They wasn't violating certain lines. So the door was open. If you come in here, to get a plate of food. You come in here to see Granny or something like that. And I mean, both of my grandmothers rock and with their door open, and they both live in dangerous neighborhoods. I don't think that can happen today.
Yeah, I mean, the sense of community, like you said, even though it's a little crazy out there, there was still things you wouldn't do. There was still, certain rules, unspoken and spoken. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we've lost that a bit because people live in these clouds now.
I think so, literally.
Yeah,
literally in the clouds. Yeah, you in meta world.
And they're not living from a real experience. They're living from a place that they feel protected behind these keyboards or these thumbs or whatever else it is and don't have that actual real world experience. Like, I think kids should be raised without camera phones and all this other stuff until a certain age, till they really need it.
Or, I don't know, like maybe do some exercises that it can include that and and have some pen and paper, like just have an assortment. Because right now it's a go-to, Like one of my friends said the other day, he's like, I want to learn how to write again. And I was like, bro, you know how to write, bro.
Yeah, but you don't do it.
But you don't do it.
But you don't do it. So that muscle memory, it starts to fire different, right? I find myself doing that when I'm writing sometimes. There'll be certain, I'm just like, yo, what did I just do? I'm like, yo, I know how to write, but it just didn't, right? And that's the thing is like, I think we need to go, not necessarily say outside, but do those things where we're in the community, where we're actually learning real life situations.
Right.
Not here's a scenario that's written down and here's, A, B, C, D and multiple choice, right? But real situations where you have to be on point. You have to be aware You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have that. So these are, to me, how we grow and be able to have common sense, right? Understand sense of direction, understand how to just kind of move when you're outside. And I think we kind of almost, not necessarily cripple, but handicap you to a certain extent. Because we don't give the kids that nowadays.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. It's a wicked cycle because I don't think it's malicious. Like we trying to hit the field. Like we as technology advances, we trying to be more active in the world. Like I said, my mom's at some point she didn't want to be in the crib anymore.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to go make my own bread. And people want to be able to do these things. Like they also want to be able to have fun. So it's like, all right, what's your line? Like, all right, well, wait, I want to have kids too, and I want to get money. All right, well, if I have kids, then I might have to sit down for a while. Like, all right, that's the science of life. Yeah. It's stressful, but then you'll see I am working towards something. So I'm thinking like maybe there's ways to kind of incorporate. I know there's ways to incorporate the technology and its super advancement and go, all right, maybe this is a timeline of where we came from. All right, maybe you don't care, you don't give a damn about what a beeper is or a two-way, what it used to be or whatever. It's like, okay, like I was talking about earlier, the elder lady talking about everybody wants to text now. Like, all right, this is where we at. I gotta go fast, I wanna make it fast, I wanna do, all right. That's a conditioning. Now the culture is, it's culture, it's over culture now, it's oversaturated. I wanna get busy. Then you forget the basic things. You forget sitting down and having a meal with the family. No phones there because everybody is going click, tick. It's me and my food, yo. Word, look at that, word. This is me and my water, yo. Word, this is Avion. So it's easier to I guess, to make the moment, to share it. Now, this may be just my theory. Being a recluse, being in trauma, and being forced to kind of not say anything, right? I'm like often wonder, how did I get into this profession where now I got to speak loud and speak into a mic to a lot of people? Like I'm still some days uncomfortable with it. So then I think about a person who gets all this power, or a kid who gets all this power, and they can just type some stuff. Now I can tell you what I feel just on the fly, and then I can get a response, right? A recluse can say something that they don't really want to say. Maybe it's not time, but you're not thinking, because now the society got you just moving fast. Everything is working, everything is grinding. It's a grind until it grind out and crash out, right? So I don't know, man. I be thinking about that sometimes and trying to step away from it, get in tune with nature, because nature will bring you back.
Yeah.
Just tipping your foot in the water sometimes,
Grounding, super important. Was that reclusive nature always you, or was that something?
I got my ass beat in my house, Nothing. I grew up scared. I ain't know I was scared. When I see certain flashes in my brain, I watch my mom get abused, you know what I'm saying? Like, crazy. And that's scary, man.
Yeah.
I remember crying and reading Disney books. Like, I couldn't fight, That was my fight. That was my scream. That was my release, So, I think the weight that you carry, sometimes it will find a way to come up.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I was blessed, lucky, just to pay attention enough. And I had certain people to help me navigate through it as well. Like, I was blessed to meet a kid like Kenny Montgomery at age 7, 8 years old. Because he was a super loner. I ain't meet nobody like that in Brownsville. The other cat, it was me, Kenny, and a guy named Lamont. Lamont was 8 years old. He had a rough life, but he had already been places we haven't been. He had family in Gowanus. So he had already been on a train by himself and all of these things. I'm in Brownsville. I just walk to Rockaway Avenue. I haven't been on the bus by myself yet, none of that. this guy's coming from over here. But 3 different people. It's like, you know, Lamont is his brothers is jail cats, so he's on some guard body twist already in public school.
At 8.
At 8. Kenny is like, you know, he's so smart and wired. Like, I'm just like a sponge looking for what to get into. I remember one time I told Kenny I wanted to get an earring in my ear. He's like, man, that's for pimps, man. Hey, what you gonna do that? I didn't know what a pimp was. I'm like, man, this guy is so, you know what I mean? So I'm like, anybody that's smart, like, I want to be around that because I want to be, you know, I want to be like, see what I can learn and see what I can do. Because I was always, you know, I guess I was pent up and I didn't know what that was. I didn't know it was reclusive. There was just stuff going on in the crib. Get in your room or go outside or stay out of grown folks' business. I guess you would be reclusive like that. I wasn't that outspoken. I'm like, no. I don't remember saying no to none of my parents and aunties, none of that. So yeah, you spend a lot of time alone, and I listened. So I wasn't really like that rebellious to that point. But I guess, you know, when we finally got a chance to speak some things, this is what it birthed.
When did the MC part start? Like, when did you want to be that? 'Cause I'm curious to see how they kind of correlate between this feeling reclusive, not wanting or being able to have a voice, to all of a sudden it being it's like, weird. I want to go and record.
Right? So I you know, just being intrigued and curious, like, you know, rap was just looked like some fun to do. I didn't see myself as a rapper. Rap was being birthed. I watched it be birthed. And I wanted to see more, wanted to be a part of it like everybody else. What can I do? Can I draw? Can I break dance? I was doing that. I couldn't wait till the first hip-hop movie came out, you know? It's like, and when Crush movie came out, I'm like, yo, that's the real one. That's the, you know? So it's like, I just wanted to be a part of it. I didn't have dreams of doing any of this stuff. I had a bright idea to one day take my dad's radio to school, public school. This is probably like 4th grade, 5th grade. Like, this is probably like where I would need like a psychiatrist to hypnotize me or something. Because why would I do that? I was already getting my ass beat, right, for nothing. But he just had this banging, nice little compact tape cassette that you could record on. And I decided that I was going to take that to school. It wasn't really a good idea. But I was in class, and me and Kenny was fake rapping, trying to record some raps. Like, what is going on? The teacher came and took it, snatched it. And I'm like, oh, man, there's no way I can go back home without this radio. So at that point, I must have been ready to die for rap and didn't know it because I wasn't really good at it. But doing that could have got me murked, and I don't remember the outcome, and I don't remember getting beat for it, so I must have got it back. I remember fighting with the teacher, pleading, and I was very like, nah, it's not going down like that. I need that. And maybe, you know, it went right. But other than that, man, years later in high school, I think just dabbling, and I met a brother named Charles Dewberry.
Okay.
Right? And he was very innovative, man. He was like, yo, rappers. I was loner, sitting in the lunchroom, and he just walked by one day and was like, you gonna be my partner. And just kept walking. All right, so again, I'm that impressionable kid, so I don't know if it's reclusive, because I wasn't like, yo, hey, I rap. And so I wasn't known in circles for doing that, so what made him do that, I can't even speak to that. But when he said it, I'm like, cool, let's do it, let's try it out. He was like, to me, he was like Coogee Rap. And I was like, I don't know, like nobody. I had like probably 2 raps. And this guy was just really good, and he was driven. So,
And his rap name was Chase?
Chase.
Okay.
Yeah. And Charles Dewberry, Daryl Yates.
Mm-hmm.
He was innovative. He said we're gonna go by a dynasty family, right? Dewberry and Yates, right? D.Y. Nasty, right? I'm like, well, that's dope. We a dynasty family. So when Jay-Z and them came out with Dynasty Family, I'm like, yo, son, yo, look at that, son, we won. Yo, so it's like, yo, this kid was, he was super smart, man. And so I picked up a lot of game from him. I would say all of it from him. And his mom was funding it. His uncle was managing us. And then, we picked up a couple of talent shows. I forget the bar. I think it was Hula Hands or something like that. Back in the day,
Wow.
it was like the bar. I used to go to a lot of folks go there after work and just have food and drink. That's when the white folks were drinking 40s with their meals, like 40s and quarts of beer. And we did a show in there, and they had I guess a talent show. Winner get $50. We still in school, so I'm like, $50. Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Plus, why not? You know what I mean? So still at that point, I wasn't channeling like, yo, I'm gonna be this rapper. My bars wasn't up. Like, I'm like, I just was seeing where it was gonna go. And again, this kid was electric, So we did this talent show, and we won. We won the $50. And he's like, you'll come back again, and you win $100. So like, all right, cool. Now, mind you, we went to the Coliseum. We had 2 videos by Shirt Kings. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I didn't know none of that. I know.
So he knew everything.
He knew everything. He had older brother too. So
Okay.
He had older brother and older sister. So that's a good. And it's not to put his business out, but his people was connected up the hill. He lived up the hill. So his people used to rock with the Wild Cowboys up the hill.
Okay, now it makes a little more sense.
He was like nephew.
Okay.
Come with the ring, polo, and all that. He's fast, hustle life. So I pretty much followed him, and from school I would go to his crib. So we had things going on. He was trying to get things recorded, and he had his mom's funding it, and his uncle was Dre running the point. We went to the second talent show at this. I can't even call it a talent show because it felt like you just performing, people eating. Yeah, sing it again. Like it felt weird. It felt crazy, but you wild young, and you like, yo, is this what you got to do? I'm gonna try it. So the second show, he didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? I was there dolo, and Dre was there. His uncle was there, and so I went and did it myself. I knew his verse and I knew my verse, and I did both of them, and I won the $100. And then from there, I was like, yo, I'm just gonna do it myself. You know what I mean? I don't even remember talking to him about, yo, we broke the group up, because he was
No
such
more
a
dynasty?
fast. Nah, no more dynasty. The dynasty died. You know what I mean? Who shot JR? But it was like, I guess the bug bit me. See, it wasn't like I wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna do this rap thing, do this rap. It just slowly climbed, and it was like, you know what? Let's see. I'm just intrigued. So maybe I was recluse, and maybe at the time the times that I got to talk, I just I allowed in that solitude to think about some stuff. I think that's where the appreciation comes too. But again, I see those things in hindsight. I don't believe I was conscious of that at the point.
I mean, I think it's tough at that age to do that, right? But as you look at them and you start to reflect, that's why I love doing this, is because you start to see maybe these are those little turning points, right?
Yes.
And those people that are like messengers, because we constantly have them. They're out there all the time. Like for me, it's numbers. Like I see numbers all the time, and I'm like, it just clicks with me.
That's crazy,
right? And then it'll go into something else. Like I saw 222, and then we ended up doing 222 for the next date. You know what I'm saying? So those kinds of things. But I don't think we're always supposed to be that aware. But I think that intuition and that trust to just do it, you know what I'm saying? That's what gets us there.
I think we are that aware. I think that's what when you say like the gods and earths, right? You say like we are in tune with nature. We're in tune with the science of life. We're just in this on this this frequency.
Yeah.
So on this frequency, we only paying attention to certain things. So this is interesting because this is how Tech and I carry it. When we say to shine, and we be really feeling like we can tell each other thoughts. And if we can't, something is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's times when we dress the same. We don't talk. We do not be on the phone going, "Yo, what you wearing, fam?" Like, "Yo, that's whack." When we try it, it don't really work. It does not.
Looks like Great Adventure.
Yo, so when you see those signs, you could watch them. Why not? Everything is science and math anyway.
Yeah.
And you talk about 22 twos, like this is February, right? This is the month of February. We also in Wisdom Power, you know, all being born of God. So we're watching a lot of females not only take the front because they have been taking the front, but we're watching them get credit for it. They're also getting a lot of slack for it as well. That comes with it, you know. And even though Kamala lost, she still was the first, you know, to get that far and go, you know. Also big up Shirley Chisholm, of course, but it just shows like we kicking the door, waving the 4-4, and I'm like, okay. And Cynical pointed out like this February is it's 4 Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays. It's like the first February.
It all kind of
so it's something that's in on a frequency. If you believe in that, which you should, right? On a frequency, we you know, planets are aligned. There's certain things that's in alignment right now. So if you feel more aligned to nature, or aligned to a higher power, yeah, that's real.
Yeah. Now, I think it's important we look at those things, right? As far as we're so willful to the ignorance at this point and choosing the wrong thing. And I think we get distracted by that, right? And I think we miss out some of the opportunities. Right now, I think we have a huge opportunity to mobilize, to build community, to do all those things I think that are necessary, that are missing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do we seize that together? And it's always kind of like what I'm looking at. It's like, how do we really mobilize and do these things when everybody is so focused on tearing each other down or just commenting in a negative way?
Well, everybody has a gun. So if they have a gun, they must shoot gun. To have gun, must shoot gun. Or you can carry it in a way where it's like it's normalized. Like you have a gun. Like I went to Alaska, and people who have guns, you know, they're up in the mountains, like, and you know, they're bears and they're moose and things of that nature, and wild animals. And sometimes you need something like that, but they're not gonna shoot you're not gonna shoot no bear. Like you're gonna shoot in the air and you're gonna scare the bear. Like if you know what's going on, you're not up there committing no M1.
You're just out there like,
the bear's coming.
You're shooting at every bear.
Like when you know that okay, NRA, no disrespect, because I like what Killer Mike be talking about. You know, it's like these are for a purpose. Like you give power corrupts. If you give a child certain things, they might go, all right, what do I do with this? All right, put that down. When I look back at my upbringing, it was really, when I think about it, like I came up tough. I thought I was poor. I always had a Christmas though. I always sat at the table and ate with my family. And I often think about the time when my father took my toy gun away. You know, like I was mad at him for that. Like, you understand? Like, do we do that? Do we take the gun away from the kid, or do we go, yo, I'm busy, I'm making food, or I'm on my phone, so the kid want to be on their phone. They want to do the same thing. Kids be eating mush and they be going, you messed my phone up, because he shouldn't even be on that right now. Like, we trying to find, and you know, not to criticize people, because me bringing up my kids, I found something at the time to pacify them too when I was busy. You know, so you talk about cherishing the moment after the moment is gone, or after the person is lost. If you know that's going to be the thing, then start dialing it down and you keep your phone, but keep it to a minimum where you can utilize it in a healthy way. Let's do something where we communicate together like this.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I think that's the tough thing. Though, is like as we got to technology, we kind of missed those things, right? And that's that's why I said before, like if I could raise my kids without, that's what I did, right? I didn't give my younger son, a phone until he was in high school, right? And so we got to learn by being out there. We got to learn by seeing these people. We got to learn by it's real,
making good connections,
yeah, but making
right?
real connections.
Real connections.
Yeah,
That's right.
And you got to learn by traversing the city or finding somebody who knew how to get to this block or to get to this, hood or to get to this borough. You know what I'm saying? And you just kept learning and learning and learning. But learning through knowledge is actually experience now. And that's true. Where we could just sit here and go like this and I could look some shit up, but it doesn't resonate the same way.
Yeah. That's why I study, I study different theology, things of that nature, like, and when you say do the knowledge is the accumulation of all facts, right? But one part of it is like respecting the things that you learn, because we love to debunk.
Yeah.
We love that.
Well, that's the destroy.
We love that. We love to. That empowers us. Like power corrupts. If you mean to tell me that I can know something and just say I know it, and like that's where we put ourselves in this position where if I can get attention from that. I hate when people say, "Yo, they just want attention." All right, well, for that though, like you wanted attention for that though, for that, all right. We can lose. That's almost like self-genocide.
It is, but that's part of the divide and rule.
Of course,
right? So that's what's injected into the society that gets injected into our psyche that we start to believe is what we're supposed to be doing, instead of celebrating what somebody else does and learning from that.
So what's that? The best trick the devil gave you was the eventuality didn't exist.
Yep.
Or like when I read the King James Bible and they talk about the people wanted the king. Like when they left, they was free of all of the oppression. Mm-hmm. But they instead of building it up, they needed a leader. Mm-hmm. And what does that sound like? That sounds like Donald Trump to me. Like the people need somebody to put there. Whoever these people are. We need somebody to do the things, whatever how crazy or however insignificant it is to others. We need someone who can represent these things, right? So you get these figureheads. Mm-hmm. These figureheads that represent. I'm a figurehead. Like I'm a figurehead of Smif N Wessun. Like, and I think about how many times I've done interviews and said some real stuff, or I just answered the question. Like, all right, so the new album, and so how you guys met, and all of these type of things. It's like, all right, and then you find yourself becoming part of this cog. Now you're just a part of the bot. You lost the humanity, and it's subtle. Because now you're not even talking about yourself, right? But I can say this now. Like I had an opportunity to speak to some children, and right, and one of that the young lady asked, she said, "Has anybody been moved or lived in a different place, a different state?" And I've never lived in a different state. Everybody else was like, "Yo, yeah, I've been to France," and I'm like, "Oh wow!" Like when you was talking about you was in Hawaii for this time, like, yo, that's good. Sometimes I feel like so poor, like I was just in Brownsville, like, but then I'm like, nah, I wasn't just in Brownsville. No. And then but Brownsville was so rich though. Like I was brought up around some beautiful people in Brownsville. Yeah. And that helped me to do all of the other stuff that I was able to do. So when I went overseas, I'm like, it took me a minute, but then it's still like, all right, as long as the opportunities are there, and you can add that to your cashier as well. So it's like, oh. So it's definitely opportunities.
And that's such a skill to be able to see the positive, right? Because we're not taught that.
You said, but you said it. You said choice. Yeah. Because it took me a minute. Like initially going to these places, I wasn't really tuned in. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, word, we out here, y'all. Yeah. Yo, tech, this is crazy. Yo, roll up. Yo, this is a hotel room. Blah. Yo, let's mess this up. Ha ha. Like, what can we really do? Going to these places and meeting people for the first time, and like some of these people we're still cool with. Yep. like a Zenobia. Like when we go to the Bay Area, I remember these people, and it's partly because like they had a setup that was like that type of party. Like we're building a community here, and it's like, oh, this is what right. Oh, I was just rapping and stuff, man.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I snap out of it. This is a lot going on, you know. So, and just the, juxtapose that with my parents being young and going, okay, this is parenthood. Right? I'm looking at you like they're the figureheads of the family.
Yep.
You're supposed to know everything right and everything wrong. Why is this happening right?
Yeah, until you become a parent.
Say that.
Until you become a parent, then you're like, oh shit, I don't know nothing. There's nothing to tell me how to do any of this.
Man, I'm looking at my kids with hair on their face, and I'm going, yo, this is interesting.
You know, that's wild. And speaking of figures, was religion ever in your parents' life? Like, was that part of the household?
It was. Religion was there, but it wasn't stressed. It wasn't. My dad was. I guess my dad's Muslim, but he was geared to the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And I would say like later on, the death of Malcolm traumatized him. You don't realize how the death of Malcolm and Martin Luther King hurt a lot of black men.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, my dad was tough. He was strong. He was beautiful. He did everything. He was good. And then it was something happened that he just wasn't good. A lot of times, and you'll see he wasn't good more often and stuff like that. So it's like, we're not talking about that at the dinner table, though. And that's why I was saying about as far as bringing it up to date, being able to utilize technology. Maybe it's a way to have these conversations because everybody is not comfortable with talking like this.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we got to normalize it.
Yeah, normalize.
You know what I'm saying? We got to be able to have these conversations because at the end of the day, like therapy is incredible. Like I would never say don't go to therapy, right? But this is therapy. Having these conversations and being able to be authentic with your peoples is like, it's important.
Yeah.
And to me, like I use hip hop as that example because it allowed us to be free, right? And it allowed us to also just figure out our way. The thing we didn't do it with was intention.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't do it with the intention of saying, oh, in 50 years or 40 years or whatever it's going to be, we're going to have ownership, we're going to be able to like have power, we're going to have influence, we're going to have all this. We didn't think about any of that. We just saw it as an opportunity to express. And that's why I was so interested when you're talking about being reclusive, but then having a voice. To me, it looks like you're that voice for other people also. That may be in certain situations similar to yours, right? And not everybody has that opportunity to be able to use that voice.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying?
How many, it's like the commercial, how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop? Like, how many years did it take you to learn that? You talk about intention, purpose, and inspiration, right? I'm looking at stuff that I can remember, and I'm like, damn, how much that I don't remember, right? I had an opportunity to go to sleepaway camp, being a reclusive and being sent away. We don't do sentaways unless you at cousin crib. Like it's nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's not too much of that sleepaway stuff. So that was like wow for me, being away from all family members, and I was terrified, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, how I'm gonna be around these people?
Yep.
And I'm in the woods, in the cabin, like real cabin, man. Like, electricity is nothing. We talk about phones and stuff like that. You have to have these, those are the most cherished moments right there. You have nothing but you. And it's not jail. You know what I mean? So, this is one of my most memorable moments as a kid. Being at sleepaway camp and trying to pick the bed furthest away from all of the action, because everybody is and all of this. I ain't with none of that. But now the kids are putting together a play. You got to do something for the camp. They're having this night where everybody's going to do something special. Everybody's cabin is going to do something. They want to do some play, and these guys the hierarchy is in place. You know who's the big guys, and I'm just watching the scene, and these guys all over the place. And I just started writing like a synopsis, I guess, outline. And I handed it to one of the guys. And he's like, oh man, this is dope, man. I don't know what the slang was at the time, but it was dope. It was definitely something else. This is fresh, man. Hey, man. You know what? Hey, man. Then he showed it to the guy, the other guy. He's like, oh man, this is great, whatever. Yo, you're going to be in it. I did not want to be in it. You know, and I'm like, when I look at it in hindsight, I'm like, was that a traumatic experience for me? Like, was I forced into rap? Like, you're gonna be my partner. Like, what if I wasn't doing that? What was my dream? Like, what would I have been? I can't say what it was. So yes, maybe I am here to help other people. Maybe we all are here to help other people. It took me a minute to learn that, because when I go to these other places and I'm like, wow, these people love us for music. Nah, I gotta be something more than that. And you sit with them a little bit, and it is something more than that. Some is just music because it's fantastic, you know. And then it's like, wow, you touch people the same way like a Stevie Wonder touch people, you know. I could sit in a Stevie Wonder concert, and I'm like all kind of people, all ages. I'm sitting behind a father and his daughter, and he's taking the pictures. He's trying to act like. He's like, oh, sorry, I'm taking a picture for her. I'm like, yeah, sure you are. Like, I know you love Stevie. Just like, we all in here crying. Every crying at the same time. We singing at the same time. Like, everybody. And I'm like, you don't think about that your first 10, 15 years of doing this rap stuff. You're just going, yo, I want to do videos. Yo, I want to. Your first 5 years, you're getting free clothes because everybody got companies. So it's like we all seem like we're all living the high life, and it's fantastic. So if you just stick around long enough to start seeing some real stuff, like, you know, boot camp, we didn't have anybody feeding us gems. No big homies was around. You know, we came in as the big homies, so we had to hold it down for however long we needed to. And a lot of times we didn't have time to watch the lessons. We missed a lot of stuff. So for me, I'm like, all right, while you're still breathing, perhaps. You know, we can pin up some of these things. I'm not trying to change the past, but this is what we talk about infinity as far as Tech and Steel project. Like, we did that already. Now we can do greater things with the knowledge that we have now, the respect that we have for what we accumulated on this journey. I look forward to it. I couldn't wait to do like a real interview. You know what I mean? I still got Source magazines and rap pages and those type of things. Like, maybe they'd be important to my kids. Maybe they'd be important to my grandbabies. Like, the image of seeing this man with his daughter at a Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder's like, what, 70 years old or something like that?
I think older than that.
However old he is, my father played Stevie Wonder for me. So he grew up off of that. He raised me off of that. My son raised up. Like, how long will Stevie be in our lives? You know, how long will Smif N Wessun be in our lives? Like, the prospect of that is fascinating.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So think about where that started from. That's what makes
Mustard seed.
But that's what makes it so fascinating, right? Is like sometimes the thing we're supposed to do, we're resistant to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if we fight that, but it seems like there was just a flow to your life in a weird way. You know,
in a weird way, but I got to give credit to the people that I was with. Like, in some kind of way, I always felt somebody to help me navigate through certain things at the right time. Like, Cook was super important. I didn't meet Tech first. I met Cook first. You know what I mean? But before that, I knew Rock already. You know, so once I went through, and then Cynical, she's another one. Like, she's a person that said, yo, you gotta incorporate Bucktown. Like, I wasn't thinking about that. I had all these homeboys around me. I'm like, yo, we gotta do the next mix CD, y'all. She like, yo, you gotta do Company, son. I'm like, yo, word. You know what I mean? We 20-something years in right now on Bucktown USA Entertainment. You know, a lot of things under the belt. So it's like, you know, people will help you navigate if you pay attention.
Or if you're also just open.
Open up. That's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to say because I'm going back to the reclusiveness. I don't want to keep going, hey, I'm a recluse. I don't really do that. Like, all right, in that, what are you doing there? Like, you recluse where you're Are you thinking about stuff? Are you writing things in your mind? You taking notes? You have anything you want to? At some point, do you want to express anything?
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think everybody's like that. Some people that get to a point where their guard is so up.
That's
right?
all they know.
That's all they know, right? And they think that's the norm, right? And I don't want to have a voice, and I'm too scared to have a voice. That's why I'm saying it's interesting to listen to you and how your life went, because there's multiple times you could have just been like, nah, or I'm just in my room, or I'm just gonna deal with it this other way,
100%.
right? And then to find that voice, or to homie tap you and be like, you in a group now, and then him not show up. Like, that's not on accident, right?
That's crazy.
And then again, because you have choices. That's all we have is the power of our choice.
Indeed.
And at those moments, you chose to say yes, and you chose to say, no, me, I got this. Like, I'm not going to depend on somebody else. I got this now, right? And it easily could have been like, oh, that must mean I'm not supposed to do this. He didn't show up, so I ain't going to do it by myself. I'm out, right?
I don't know how to. My options was kind of like not there. I guess not to say it like that. Like I'm creating my options. It's like I don't have anything together. My home front is still raggedy to me, But the beauty of just being open, and at the same time like cutting up, but I guess owning up to your mess ups. Like, I had to go to night school, which is where I met Tracy, which is Buckshot's sister. So where you put it, it does make it sound kind of magical, because I'm doing the most rottenest stuff, and I'm over here, and here go Tracy, boom. At that time, I had been doing the solo artist thing for a minute.
And what was your name at this point, too?
MC Steele.
Huh? So you were still the whole time?
MC Steele.
Okay.
And I had a group. Like, I had a ring, MOST, right? Pinky ring. I was trying to do, you know what I mean? Come through fly. And I said, I don't know. I feel like I always wanted a bigger brother. So I couldn't get that, so I just went for the crew, like Major Organized Sound Troopers. That was the acronym for MOST. Okay. Right? It was Man of Steel and Major Organized Sound Troopers. And Rock was one of the guys. When I met him, he was rapping already. Tech wasn't rapping yet. Rock was part of the Major Organized Sound Troopers. Tech was just Tech. So when he talked about I wasn't rapping and I was security, like I had a video out. My joint was playing on Bobby Simmons.
Okay.
And like people was, but I still was like shy. I wasn't like, yo, rap was a totally different guy. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It was weird for me to watch. And yeah, Rock was dancing. I had my girlfriend at the time. It was a kind of like a crappy video. But the first video, I had my stuff was on wax, and that was I don't know. It's like no looking back at this point. Like, you're here. I don't know when we started doing the Smif N Wessun stuff. Tracy said I stole Smif N Wessun from her. She's like, that was supposed to be my dance group name. You gonna give me my publishing? I might have. I don't know. I told her I'd tell a story one day. You know what I'm saying? And no one's gonna believe that. That's not even close to the truth. But anyway, we was definitely building up the family. And what was beautiful was that Dre stuck around, because he could have left. That's his nephew. He stayed with me. You know? And he was funding stuff and trying to get me in places, man. And I swear to you, when I got signed to Nervous, I wanted to go find him. I'm like, I want to put him on, but he would have got ate up here. He would have got this mob. I seen him later when I was already signed. couple of years later, and I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't have worked. But he set me off, man. I felt like I owed him something,
And so when Tech was security, was he already Tech?
Yeah, he was Tech. That's short for his real name, Taconan.
Okay.
Yeah, Tech is pretty. Yeah,
So our names are almost like meant to be.
Yeah.
And so how did Smif N Wessun come out?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the practice right there. After all that MOST shit, like I wanted the group. I wanted that. Like I wasn't really. I don't know, man. Maybe I was feared. Let's go back to the reclusive. Right? Mm-hmm. Maybe I didn't really want to be the star. Plus, I started with this guy. I wasn't bent on the me show. It's like, wow, I think it would be better if me and Tech was partners. Smif N Wessun. Yeah, that's a name. I mean, that's fine. Yo, you should be my partner. I don't rap though. No, don't worry about it. You're gonna be Wessun. You're gonna do this. We wrote. We was already hanging out already. Like, I would bring him to Brownsville, and he's like, we wasn't going to Bed-Stuy. We still had Bed-Stuy. Brownsville had a little thing going on. We couldn't really. You had to. Certain people can go there, but when Tech comes to the hood, they loving it. And he coming in crazy afro, on the bike, no helmet. He doing all kind of rebellious stuff. Like, yo, go front. He mad young though. Like, we're not used to that. Our age range.
How old are you at the time?
Let's say 15. We still we might be in second year of college, 16, somewhere, 16, 17. I don't know. I'm not good with numbers. That would be Cynical Smith. She do the numbers.
That's high school. That's not college.
I mean, high school. That's what I meant. For me, that was college. Ooh, hard knock life for us. Nah, yeah, high school. We was in high school, man. That's when I started rocking with them about second. Like, I knew Cook first year, freshman, and then like second year I was already DSEP. I was moving around different, but I was still a youngin'. So people on my block didn't know me for any of that stuff.
Right.
And when I bring Tech around, like, yo, you got to how you know this crazy guy, like. So he wasn't rapping yet.
And he was in DSEP first, or you?
Me.
Okay.
Adventurer is always casting his line, man. I was first. And a friend of mine from junior high school. I went to high school in 271. That's up the hill where MOP and them was at. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of Puerto Ricans. You know what I'm saying? So one of my friends, I can't even say Puerto Ricans. I was ignorant to the fact that not everybody that's Latin is Puerto Rican. But it was a lot of Puerto Ricans, though. But one of my friends, Angel, I believe he was either Ecuadorian or El Salvadorian. And he was in the gang already. In junior high, he was in the gang already. And like they was having gang wars, blacks versus the Spanish. I think that stemmed from the Rikers Island and stuff. But Angel wound up going to Princeton. So when I went to Princeton, he was already in there. He was already a Decepticon. In 9th grade, he was a freshman, decent. How you do that? This guy's, he had the card. So that was the only person that I knew other than Sean Price and my boy Norton, T. White. We Brownsville cats. So we wasn't seeing no Brownsville cats really. Not yet, anyway. So Angel was already with the gang. So that's how I got in first. Angel introduced me to the guys. And it was tough. I had to fight a few guys. And
yes, I got out at the very end of it when they was on Richard Bay and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? When they was going on TV and talking about it. Before that, the only other time I heard about it was one of my homies that moved to Cali. He got kicked out. Well, he didn't get kicked. He got sent to Cali because he got into fights like DSEPs.
Oh,
and,
families, because they don't get out of here.
Yeah, so they were like, "Nah, you gotta go." So that was my only, like, I didn't really get to, and then now afterwards, just like meeting all these people that I know, I was like, "Oh shit, y'all was all like, wow."
It was weird.
We won't get into many details, but what lessons did you take from that? What do you like remember most, and what do you still hold on to and still like have in your life from that experience?
From DSEP?
Yeah.
I learned camaraderie, mostly. I think that's one of the things that I took into the rap when you think about Boot Camp Clik. I like structure, and I'm always fascinated with the military for various reasons. But DSEP was a huge family, and is a huge family. And men, women, children, like family for real. Like some of these people are blood cousins and brothers and sisters and all of that. And then you have the extended family, and they look out for extended family. You know, I wasn't the toughest cat, so they carried me, looked out for me until I was able to really fly myself. And I learned a lot of hard street lessons running around with those guys.
Yeah, I heard it was wild.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Like I came in, they was already there, or already planted in the school. And my first induction was like, yo, I didn't know what was going on. Keep in mind, I'm from Brownsville. So this was like a zoo. When I came here, it was like Brownsville, Schmounsville. Like, nobody cared about none of that. Like, who cares?
You're here
Brownsville,
now.
son. Whatever, son. You're going to have to get through it. And I'm like, I refuse to be like one of these guys over here. So I'm either going to be fighting them or I'm going to be one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how that worked. But Angel being there already was definitely a plus for me, you know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like each time we talk, it's another one. It's like, all right, cool. I can see how that experience applies to what, you know, how you move now.
So what's crazy is that another mutual friend, Dallas Penn, like he was part of the DSEPs, right? And like he went to Brooklyn Tech, right? And the original Decepticon, Megatron, went to Brooklyn Tech. Like this is like one of the top schools.
Yeah.
These guys, I wouldn't say they was menacing everybody. You're a teenager, so you're probably gonna be doing some of that. But these guys formulated this brotherhood out of just anything else, like necessity of protection and things of that nature. It grows, obviously. It grows, and then I get to meet them, and I'm like, these are some beautiful people. Like you hear the horror stories, you're like, wow, when you sit with them at the picnics and different things, like these are people who will protect their family, and if you got a problem with them, whoever it is, the girls, the guys, they coming out for you. You know what I mean? And of course, in your family, you have some members that's like, they like to get money, like to do things. You might go on a mission and stuff, things of that nature. And you might just be obligated to do certain things. So family values. That's what I learned from DSEP.
Dope. And then when did so now that's all happening in high school. When does Duck Down start happening? And the whole crew is
well, high school still. This is me still, like, you know, I'm dabbling in the rap a little bit, and I meet Tracy. So Dre still getting me gigs and stuff. He wound up getting me a gig at the Apollo Theater, and
on amateur night?
not on television.
Oh, not on television.
They was just doing the Wednesday joints.
Got it.
But I was hoping they filmed it. I didn't care. To me, I was on TV. I didn't care. And I was in Harlem, you know what I mean, at the Apollo. I was on stage with my 8-ball jacket with a bald head. I was killing it, yo. I had my dancers. We was practicing. I mean, like, we was dead serious about this thing. Like, we was gonna win something. That's the first time I met Buckshot. His sister Tracy said, yo, meet my brothers, because I'm like, this is gonna be a big show, okay? And she's like, yo, I dance and all of that. I had 2 other dancers. I had 3 female dancers. I was up there, bro. I'm like, yo, this is what I learned from hip hop. You need dancers, you need clothes.
So wait, you had a DJ too?
I had a DJ.
Okay.
At the time, my DJ name was DJ Wallaby. which is crazy because that was Chase DJ. So everybody stayed with me. Chase broke out. Nobody, like, he got locked up or something.
I mean, again,
DJ stayed with me. His uncle stayed with me, and we was practicing in his grandma's house, dances and doing all of this type of stuff. And the Apollo Theater, Tracy was like, "Yo, I'm good, but you got to meet my brother and his partner, Kasim," and that's how I met Buckshot. So that was our relationship. Me and Tracy were close. I didn't know Buck like that. Later on, with the single that I was singing, they offered me a contract to do the single.
who was they?
I forget the label. But I was doing a variety show, Ron Alexander. I think he still might be around doing it too. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say his name, but hey, it's all good. I used to do Ron Alexander's show. It used to come on, sound like 67 or 57 or some old wildness like that. And that's what Tracy had saw me on. So, yeah, they took the song and they wanted to put it on a compilation. So I had a contract about as thick as this table. And Buck always struck me as somebody that was smart, just very swift with the wisdom. And me and Tracy was cool. And she's like, "Yeah, you can take it to my brother and let him look at the contract." Took him my contract. Yeah, I took his advice. He was my legal counsel.
Lawyer Buck?
Lawyer Buck. Buck is a genius, man. He knows his stuff, man. You know what I mean? He way advanced. He already left this place. He gone. But from there, we just was building. I would go, and again, my household was raggedy. So at this point, I wasn't even checking in no more. I wasn't even going over there. I was going back to just maybe stay in my auntie crib, you know, on the second floor. She let me in. The door's open anyway. I could cop a squat on the couch. She didn't ask me no questions. And that's how I was doing at that point. And that's where all the breaking night, staying over there with Buck, because he just be outside just buzzing. So I'm over there soaking it up. Same way I was with Chase, the same way I was at the Fresh Air Fund. That's been my fly on the wall. That's kind of been my vibe, you know.
Well, now it's like, what, 30 years, you know, the whole crew rocks.
Talking this general stuff. Like, how you get to do that?
I mean, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, right?
Say that.
And I think that's the beauty of growth is as we evolve, we start to learn these lessons and understand what our purpose is.
Indeed.
And why we're supposed to be here and what we're supposed to do. But what I hear is you've been living that purpose for a minute. Maybe not so intentionally,
right?
But it sounds like it's all been leading up to this voice of being that general, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you were there. You were getting it's almost like you were getting the, what is it called? Damn it, what do you get when, like, Mission Impossible? Your missions, I guess.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, here's your duties, these are your missions, you know, are you gonna accomplish this? You accomplished it because you took the mission on, you know what I'm saying? And then
I think
you
it
just...
might have been a few times I was in the shower and was like, oh, shit. So you mean to tell me my pops and my moms did that? Like my son just bought me like a bag of stuff, like, that I've left. I'm a collector. I love books. I love, like, records and all kinds of stuff. But he found some papers that I had in the attic. And amongst those papers was some poetry from my mother. Like, I remember my mom writing, but I didn't know how deep she was in it, because she's another one that we don't, you know, that culture, that the family culture that I was brought up in, we don't talk much about certain things, right? You know, you might know about what's going on in that room. You better never say nothing about it. You better back up and close the door, stuff like that. So, but I do remember a few times where she submitted some of her poetry to, like, the newspaper to get published, you know. But whatever happened to that drive, I don't know. Then later on you go, wow, poetry. My mom was doing that. My pops was in the crib playing all that soul music and that funk. And like, that's why it hit me like that. When I listened to it, when the beat miners put the records on, I'm like, yo, wait a minute. Other than that, what's my connection? Where's my line at? I can't identify with that because I'm just clay, really.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was easy for me to. I guess I was a follower for the most part.
Well, I mean, maybe you're following your path in that sense, right? So it's not necessarily a follower in the sense of like doing what other people are doing just to do it, but following your path.
I can respect that. There was a game in my neighborhood called Follow the Leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you had to do the most incredible stuff, you know, but mainly jumps. Right, this would be a jump
So like
from here to
before
there.
parkour.
Yeah, before parkour we was doing that. Word up, and we was very ruthless with it. Like, but it teaches you ambition. It helps you to practice with that
And strategy.
And and it's some wow health fitness vibe too, because like you want to make it. You don't like. It's not like basketball.
Yep.
You know, it's like, all right, well, this kid can make it. It's short kids that's making the jump, tall kids making the jump, fat kids making the jump. It's like, I want to be. You want to be good at something. You know, so that follow leader game was one of my favorite games. You know, it's like I didn't make the jump yesterday. Today I feel it.
I mean, bro, that's a hell of a way to look at life in general.
Yeah.
I ain't make the jump today, but I'm gonna make that shit the next time, right?
Right.
Like, and again, so I like to repeat these things because, again, we tend to think so negative. We tend to think so
Guilty.
or worry or
Guilty
all this
as
other
charged.
stuff, right?
Indeed.
But when we start to step back and we start to kind of reflect and we start to kind of like see what our path looks like, that shit can give you a lot more trust into what you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
And how you do it. And because again, we really don't have much control over what happens, right? We can choose these different things as they're presented to us, but that's really the control we have, is the
Indeed.
choice, right? And my mom always tell me, you know, we choose our parents. Right?
heard that.
We've chosen, like, we chose to be born to these parents. And if you think about that and contemplate on that, like, just like you just said, my mom's doing poetry, my dad was playing music, but they also had their issues, right? That changed how you looked at things. That moved you here, but that put you in a position to meet this person and that person, right? And so a lot of times we think of like, oh, this should happen to me. I wish this didn't happen. I wish that didn't happen. But what if it was just supposed to be?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it makes you the person who you are that can now call yourself the general.
Yeah, that's a fact. It took some time, bruh. Like I was like for some time, you know, I leaned on that reclusive, traumatic kid. I leaned on that characteristic. So I can scream and rap, but then I think I became obsessive or compulsive. Like things needed to be a certain way. So in that, the aggressiveness maybe an outcast in some arenas. Like, 'cause if you wasn't on my level, then you was going to be intimidated. And so to have the boot camp was fun for me. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, this is a ragtag bunch of dope guys. Like, I needed that. I needed a balance. It becomes robotic when you are obsessive and you have maybe this drive that just needs a balance, like that nature balance. Like, I do remember being in Prospect Park, right? I remember the trauma with my dad. And then I go, wow, we did go to Prospect Park though. You know, like the trauma will make you tuck some stuff away and be careful of the things like some things you it's a difference between throwing things away and letting go.
Yeah,
and I learned that like recently. You know what I mean? Because I still have things like cynical jokes with me, because I always talk about my Millennium Falcon. Like that was one of my prized possessions. And I can't, you know, I'm probably going to bring it up every interview now. Why not? Like, I can't think like how a Millennium Falcon would disappear, you know? But it's like, when you grow older, it's like you're gonna have things that you attach to that you're not gonna be able to touch anymore. Can you live? Can you go on? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can. You can and you must.
And if we learn to let everything go, it's like there's no baggage to hold on to. There's nothing to drag us down.
And you know what? I still have it. You know, the
Well, you
memory
already
is
experienced
there.
it.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
so it's like, yo, nah, I almost could have, would have. Nah, like, all right, let's count the experiences. Like, even now, like, Tech and I just came off of the road. And I feel like I can look at that in a different way. Before, we was tearing the road up and tearing the club up and tearing the rooms up. And, you know, the rules changed. Like, all right, are we enjoying the city? One time we went to Paris and Rock was like, yo, I never been to the towers. I'm like, what? Everybody like, yo, I'm going to sleep. And me and Rock wound up going. You know, it was closed, but we went.
Yeah.
Never been there. We've been to Paris several times. And it's like, I want to start enjoying some of these wins, you know.
I mean,
Life.
Yeah. I mean, but it's constant lessons. It's constant learnings.
Yeah.
And I know we skipped over it a little bit, but when did the lessons start to take place with you? I know you said your dad was Muslim and he was 5%. Was he 5% too, you said? Or
No. He was more into the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And like I said, he wasn't strict, but he had his kufi and his Quran, and he would pray. But I felt like as time went by, and again with the death of Malcolm, I think a lot of black men at that time just lost trust in stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so my dad wasn't, you know, he wasn't pushing that issue at all. But there was a lot of guard bodies in my neighborhood, and that was fascinating to me. You know, it was all different kind of shapes and colors, but they just always would stand in the ciphers and be talking, and I'm like, wow. I want to, you know, I'll sit on the bench as close as I can get and listen. But my uncle was one of the first ones that brought me to 120.
Okay.
The young homie, Lamont, that I was going to school with, his older brothers was already guard body. So he was trying to pump that in school, in public school. We was in like second, third grade talking about guard body. Kenny was like, get that away from me. I'm not with none of that. Kenny had already knew what he was doing. He was already talking about being a lawyer. I was just this floater. So I was like, yeah, I'll pick up the guard body stuff, but I wasn't in it, really.
Yeah.
My uncle, later on, he was very fluid, and he picked up like a sponge. And I was attracted to that. So after I got locked up, went to prison for like a 1 to 3. When he came back, I was like, as soon as he come back, I need the lessons. I can't wait till he come home. I want, you know what I'm saying? And it's like from jail, we would get certain pieces, but when he came back, that's when I started to really, I want to say about 17, 18, something like that, somewhere around that age.
Now, it's been interesting, like, going back to, I got into it when they started the Zulu Nation chapter back in, like, it was like 91, 92 in San Francisco. And so, you know, we had to start studying the lessons. But I got back into them again during the pandemic.
Oh.
And starting to read, and I was just like, because I've always believed that there's no truth in one religion, but there's truth in every religion, right? But we're going back to those figureheads. I never thought we needed a figurehead if we're God.
Right.
Right? Like, if we're talking about ourselves, and then, have you ever heard of the Vedanta Treatise, that book?
No.
So the Vedanta Treatise is all about knowledge of self, right? And saying that the whole system of knowledge and information is within you. Like, you're already coded with everything that you need, right? Just like you're coded with everything you need. And we'll never find happiness living for the outside of us, right? Not true happiness, not anything that's sustainable. But in hip hop, it was always told from the outside, it was always ragged on, right? It was always a bad thing. But that knowledge of self piece was a foundation of the culture.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was so important, and it's just interesting now, it's so removed.
It's weird to look at. It must be like, or maybe, I would love to see how the guards feel. Like, and I say that because there's some brothers and sisters that was there when hip hop was already like first off.
Yep.
So I mean, like others, like Rakim will forever be in my top 5. Kane will be in my top. These guys was coming out, kicking the knowledge.
Yep.
We was attracted to that.
Yep.
And we was attracted to hearing big words and hearing how you can put words together differently than the hip to the hop, the hippie to hippie. We wanted to hear something real. And I think, yeah, I could see where some brothers and sisters in the nation might be feeling like, take a back seat. But it's not. I think that it's to each his reach. That's just for me. I think it wasn't pushed to me. It was there. It was available, and I came to it. It's like the well is there. Like, I don't want to be in your cult. I don't want to come there and you making a big thing of me, and I got to get baptized and all that. So now I belong. I want to be able to find myself. I want to be able to find my religion. Like, one of my favorite artists is Brother J. He said, my religion is reality. Come take a drink from the great verb stick. I'm like, yeah, my religion is reality too. Like, yeah, like I'm with all of that. You know what I'm saying? And certain things that I'm not with.
Yeah.
But I do love studying theologies and religions. Like, I find it fascinating. Like I was intrigued to be on tour with Boot Camp. Well, first tour was with Black Moon, and we was opening up for DOS Effects. That was incredible. And I was like, my ghetto ass was geeked off of the fact that they had Bibles in the hotel room. So I was stealing Bibles. I'm going to hell for that. I hope do you go to hell for stealing a Bible? I got 3 Bibles, son.
I'm sure there was like, some kind of theft and like, and you know what I mean? Like they knew somebody's gonna steal some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to roll up with the blank pages.
Nah, I was never doing nothing like that. I never smoked. Nah, I ain't gonna say never. But I was reading them. I was reading the books. I had my highlighters. I'm like, wow, that's... So yeah, I had the 120, but I also was reading the St. James, and I also was reading the Quran. And my uncle was super advanced, so he had like the Bhagavad Gita, and he had all of these, Dead Sea Scrolls, and then he was getting like Masonic texts and all of this stuff. Like, I'm like, all right. I think at some point it was an overload for me, and I just kind of like fell back off all of that, But yeah, like I still, brush up on the lessons. It's definitely important, and it's definitely, how do you say, practical.
Yeah, I feel like timely right now too.
Yeah.
Like especially with like the messaging and things that are going on, like Build and Destroy just keeps popping up right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that 8, especially Infinity.
Yeah.
Right? And and we're in a transformative year. And I think there's just a lot of opportunity. Again, we're so divided and looking at so much negativity and choosing to do that through that willful ignorance, that if we just look this way, there's so many other things that can bring us together.
Well, what's after, like, I mean, something has to be, I'm thinking like a big bang, right? Before the creation of something, there's a bang, there's an explosion, there's an idea or something like that. Like there's always people thinking, but what idea would strike and stick is, I like to keep an open mind, right? I be on the road and just looking at people, and people are just peopling. So
Life
like,
is just life, and people are just people.
And then like that helps me to go, well, what are you doing? Are you watching people live their life, or are you living? Are they watching you living? What is your living version? You're going like, look at her, look at him. Like, what's your living? Or like I'm in Haarlem in the Netherlands though, right? And it's the guy with his dog sitting by the river, just sitting there. No book, no phone, I'm like, yo, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That looks like, wow,
Peace.
fun. It's just like tranquil, like, and it's just brisk. It's nice, brisk morning, and you're just chilling.
Yeah.
Like, who does that in New York City? Like, you need to sit your ass down. Who sits their ass down in New York City? Like,
I mean, bro, I meditate on the train now.
See, you gotta find your moment, and I'm glad you brought it back because when you said something that you said a little while ago, but I can't really remember specifically what it was. It makes me think, and it also applies to the lesson because it made me think about something that I saw, and I was reading the lessons about Father Time, and Father Time exists between the tick and the top, right? So it's like we have found this way to live the tick, the top, the in between the tick and the top. We can't miss a moment. You know, we'll wake up and go, oh man, I missed the phone call. I missed the da-da-da. Like I woke up today and I went like this. Wait a minute, I had to sit down. You know, like normally I'm like, okay, nah, brush it off. No, sit down. It's okay. It's really like you'll get there. You know, you get there fast or you get there safe. Taking a moment to tap in, put your feet in the sand, put your face in the, in the air. That's what I learned from traveling, right? I could die on that plane. I wouldn't even know. When you say you have no control, like, what am I afraid of? Dying or what? Not knowing I'm, like, not to sound so morbid, but it's like, all right, I want to project a certain energy. I want to practice that. Because I'm in this plane right now. When I land, I'm like, woo, yo, let's turn up. Yo, roll up, let's go. What we doing? Yo, what y'all want to do? The hotel? Nah, fam, I was on a plane for like 18 hours. Like, no, what are we doing? Like, I want to see every second of this is going to be, I'm absorbing it,
I mean, that sounds like grounding, right? And being grounded.
10 toes. That's what 10 toes mean to me, being grounded, right?
But that's not an ideal that people think of in this day and age,
no.
Right? And that's not something this society wants for us. They want us to be disconnected.
Yeah,
they don't want us to
sure.
be touching the ground. They want us to be in the clouds.
However we can distract you, and whoever is there, like we live in a competitive culture, and I don't know if that's a New York thing or American thing, but when I leave America, I mean, you lived in Hawaii, is it like that?
I mean, I think, to a certain extent, it's because there's competition between the colonizing and the people that are indigenous. There's not a lot of space to build out there. So there's competition in that kind of world as well. It's like who can have this space versus that space, and it's fighting. I think the competition just got exacerbated through social media, though.
What's interesting to me is that it always looks better from the perspective on the outside, right? When I think of Hawaii, I think of a joke, right? You ever had a girl from Hawaii, man? I don't know. That's all I know about Hawaii, you know what I mean? And that, right? But now I know a person who really was there, and you can probably compare it to New York in some regards. But when you talk about the competitiveness, for me, it's like I can go anywhere in the world and I'm gonna see the same thing. Like sometimes that's bad for me, but it's great for me in a way where I can stay grounded. I don't feel like, I was Paris. Paris was like, nah, I was with, I was eating food. Paris teach me how to come back to New York and appreciate the simple things. Because I don't sit in the park. And we have beautiful parks here. Fort Greene Park is
Oh, yeah, tons of beautiful.
Like, are you kidding me?
There's all kinds of beauty in this.
You don't even need a park. You can sit on the stoop.
That part.
In best style.
But you could also sit on a bench. You could also sit on the sidewalk. You could also sit on the street, right? It's where you at here.
That's
to
a
me.
fact.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where you're at there, right?
That's a big fact. And how long does it take? Because if I didn't realize that hip hop was therapeutic. I didn't know.
I always say, bro, MCs, like hip rappers, are probably the most vulnerable. Like, it's one of the most vulnerable genres of music. People will say shit in that booth. I've know you've seen this before. You'll look, you'll be like, bro, you never told me that before. Like what? You was going through what? Like, or even go back to the early stuff. Burning buildings everywhere. Motherfuckers just don't care. Right? Like, they wasn't saying that to their friends.
Yeah.
But I got in the booth. I need to reflect my experience. And to me, that's the beauty of this culture, is there's so much authenticity into it because we were sampling, right? Sampling and foraging are the same thing.
Dig it.
Right? And if you go back into those times, all we're doing was trying different things. That's all we did with this culture, was try this, all right? They were finding everything new. We were finding things that we had the resources that were just around us, right? Whether it was our parents' music crates, whether it was some of their clothes we took out, whether it was going and taking Lee jeans like y'all they was doing back in the day and putting permanent creases, or where did fat laces come from?
Yeah.
And motherfuckers punching holes in them and putting 5 different laces in them, right? There's all these different things, but it's the authentic energy of saying, yes, I'm gonna do this because I'm reflecting everything that I'm absorbing that's around me.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna output something that's new because it's gonna have my style, my flavor.
That's real.
Right? And now we've gotten to this place where it's like so cookie cutter. Everything is so homogenized and seems like all the same. And you can go to the internet and find the uniform.
Yeah.
Right?
Template.
I'm not to say we're just not there because we're here, right? We live this, we breathe this. It's still there. But I'm just saying from that level, and but it still makes me smile because it says we have an opportunity to say, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
It's like I think about Tech. Sometimes he says, yo, I didn't even want to do this rapping. And sometimes we get mad about that. Right? So I'm like, well, you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
For a person that didn't want to do it, you're good at it. So I can sit there and be like, yo, I saw this vision. But I can't say that.
Yeah.
Maybe I felt something that was there. I spoke to it. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at acting on stuff. You know what I mean? I'm a great enforcer with certain things, and I can balance it out because I'm not the hype man. But I'm hype enough to go, yo, son, let's try it. Yo, and if something happened later on, I'll take the hit. My bad.
That's the general. But that's the general.
Right. See?
That's the general.
You know?
That's embodying what you like really live in that.
Right.
You know, like, and why not? But again, it's like listening to this. It shows everything that we talked about pops up to make you this person, right? And you just accepted it. It's like you accepted your
yesterday. Yesterday, I accepted it, and look.
But it takes every day too.
It takes every day,
Yeah.
every part that you dealing with. Like I learned to put them together because I'm like I don't need this anymore. Like I don't, and when I say cult too, like when people come with these new ideas, they just learned justnow.com, and they're like, yo, this is what you got to do, or this is what you got to eat, and this is what you need to do. They're like, those people annoy me. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like okay, I'm willing to try stuff and see, and we rate it and judge it, but I'm not to believe in like on the scene like that. I don't just shift and flip flop like that.
But I don't think there's one size fits all either.
No,
there's these things and we can try modalities. We can try this. We try like for me, meditation works incredibly. For other people, they can't meditate.
Yeah, it's too much noise in there.
Right, but that's part of it.
Right.
It's just recognizing that there's noise in there.
Right.
And then going, oh, it's just noise. Oh, shit.
So
it's, you know what I'm saying?
No, well, I'm guilty of that too. Like if it's too much noise, I need more noise. So that's the tick between the top. Like, take a breath, let that be what it is, then go right to. I'm not telling you to stop, but I'll be guilty of that too, man. Just trying to steam through. I'm doing 5 things. Right? That's why when the cooking thing is magical to me, because like, all right, I'm cooking, I'm doing laundry, I might be answering some texts, I might be doing something's getting burnt.
Yep.
Something is going, that ain't gonna work. But when everything is like, yo, you still got this ebb and flow.
Got that
it's
flow.
like, man, I'm part of this whole dynamic. I'm part of this whole. When the wind blows, that's me.
And we feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that to me is the beauty of just being in life, because everything happens as it's supposed to happen. You're never not where you're supposed to be. If you feel like things keep happening over and over and over, step back. There's something in there you're not grasping. There's something in there that you're not taking, so you can move forward.
So I was thinking, like, how can I take this and apply it? Because rapping is not something that you probably going to be doing as vigorous as you in the beginning. So I'm like, how do I take this position and do like what you're doing? Like I've been doing it, but I'm coming into the purpose of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I was doing it as a gig. It's like that's a 9 to 9 for me. Like, I want a vacation. Meanwhile, all I'm doing is traveling the world, rapping, meeting people. Like, okay,
Making people happy.
Making people happy. So dial into that and going. It's a program that I'm working on where I can be able to do stuff like this, like purposeful, like intentionally using hip hop to heal. We heard that so many times, but I don't think there can be enough of those type of forms, because us coming up, we didn't have any of that. Nobody knew how to deal with hip hop. It was ready to throw it away every 5 years. Let's get this out of here. These kids is wilding. And now these kids ain't wilding. Now these kids is performing for the president. Now these kids is in the Super Bowl. So it's like, you didn't know what you was talking about. So society, America comes from somewhere where they was trying to change the situation. And then we want to call it this, and we want to start making our own rules. All right, so let's get back to what it really is. That's what it is, and it kind of makes sense. If this was your block, you want to run it the way you wanted to run it. You want to put your people on. You want to have your rules and regulations. All right, well, let's start with our family and how we want to run it. And how about let's have dinner at the Fly Social? Let's talk about it. Let's talk.
But that's exactly what it's supposed to be, because it created to me, a safe space for us, right, to express who we are authentically. But it wasn't a physical space.
No.
Right? And it wasn't a space filled with an intention of gathering us on purpose. But what I learned is it did it naturally, and it did it in such a way that's so powerful. And it brought us all together. I think the thing that stops us is our eyes. Right? The prejudice of our eyes that says, oh, at some point we have to differentiate. At some point we have to point out our differences instead of celebrate where we align. And that's the whole point, is how do we focus on celebrating where we align? Because we can always find the differences.
That's why I was saying about being reclusive. But I would have to study this further, because I'm like, is there a part where you're just dying to say something? And when you finally get the chance, you stay the stupidest mess ever. Like, I always want this. You know what I mean? Like, what? That's it? Okay.
Yeah, but we don't always have to worry about that judgment of saying the words. Sometimes it's just saying the things, or sometimes it's actually just doing the things, right? Like, I've seen you talk about a lot of positivity, you giving out lessons, right? You mentioned a lot, but I think that's just a reflection of what you do, right? And I'm gonna guess it's probably shit that you want to hear, right? And stuff that motivates you or inspires you. And so it's like, well, if I could do that, if it does that for me, let me share that with others.
Nah, 100%.
Right? That to me is what we're supposed to do as humans. That's
like, this is good. Taste this. Or have you tried the da-da-da? Like, I learn stuff like from the culture. We now become the vanguards of this information. Right? So if it's the information age, let's have some proper information. Now, I was watching some vlogging cats, and they was talking about how we create the content, our intellectual property, and we work hard because initially we want to be successful. And being successful sometimes means selling your stuff. And that's a culture that's neither black nor white. The kids at the Combine was like, yo, this young lady said, I like to bake, but I like to make money more. And that went to my heart. Bang! And I was like, all right, don't attack that. Build on that, but don't attack that, because it hit me strange. I'm like, you're gonna regret that. But how do I verbalize that? I get paid to talk. I'm a paid speaker of sorts, but I have to get my point across, and not, tell this young lady.
But you don't speak for money. You speak to share the knowledge and wisdom, right? You just happen to get paid for that. Right. So it's a difference. And I think that's when I talk about wealth and prosperity. The latter is prosperity. The first is the desire for wealth, right? And to acquire true wealth usually takes violence. Somebody's getting hurt along the way, right? With prosperity, there's reciprocation of energy, of information, as well as money and other things. You have what you need, right? And again, but it's the programming of these societies. They don't want that. They want us to go. That's why you only hear generational wealth. Generational wealth just came up in the past 10 years. That wasn't like something that was beat into our heads, right? And now that's what you have people fighting for. And when it's like, well, no, if I want, well, I need what you have then. And now you have these, and then everybody's just ripping at them instead of going, yo, that's incredible that they did that. How could I learn from that? How could I figure out my path from that?
It's interesting because a friend of mine, my DSEP brothers, Unicron, was like, yo, you seen you seen Vikings? You know, I'm definitely interested in film as well, and I like how they put history in film.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, watching the history of the Vikings, and then you'll come across, like, you talk about colonizers, right? You're dealing with the early Muslims, Muslims, when it's like, it's different, right? The Turkish, we're talking about wars. You're talking about taking things from people. We're talking about erasing whole tribal wars. So we come from, like, it's this man, right?
Yeah.
It's like, at this point, like, the carnal nature of man is to take. And that you said, it's funny that you said, I'm laughing because you said there's money being made, somebody's getting hurt. And that's a heavy statement, but it's very.
But that's wealth to me.
Yeah.
Like, who has wealth? The Vatican has wealth, right?
Yeah.
How'd the Vatican accrue all that? Raping, pillaging, stealing.
That history is wild.
Yeah.
And it's bigged up. It's the biggest. Catholicism is like the biggest, like, well, Islam.
Well, Islam's still the biggest,
Yeah,
but I mean, as far as, I mean, Catholicism, Christianity, I mean, a lot of those are, you know, but we don't look at it, again, figureheads, religion, this, that, but it's.
Right. What can I identify with?
Right.
So I you know.
I think all of our health comes from internal, our mental, our emotional, right? Even our physical.
Yeah.
Like, we have to start in here and say, I'm starting this.
Yeah.
And then that goes out, and then what we work on becomes our physical, what we look at, right? How much is health for you, and like, how much do you focus on that? I still see you working out.
Absolutely. Always find, you know, other ways to be more healthy, to think healthy, to engage in healthy communication. So I think trauma will have you shackled, and you know that can be your excuse for not wanting to do anything better. This is it. I came up this way, and accept it. That's not healthy to me, because I came up crazy, and when I think about it, I'm like, yo, my pops, I feel like he didn't get a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like half of my life, I hated that guy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's not healthy.
Yep.
How am I going in a healthy relationship as a father with that type of trauma?
Yeah.
I gotta, you know, and that's before we even turn the first beat on. Like, what am I talking about in rap? I'm sharing my soul and spirit with these people, and I'm damaged goods, and what I want to have happen here. I'm just moving in the spirit, and I think that whatever happened for me, it felt good enough for me to want to share it. I don't have no other, like, no motive, anything. Like, I want everybody to be together, and I don't even know if that's what it is. It feels good to have people together. It feels good to have my family. All the boot camp members, is, with the exception of Tech and Buck, is from Brownsville. You know, these are all my brothers, people who I grew up with primarily. So if it's up to me, I would like to, I want all of us to. How homies say ain't no fun and the homies don't get none. Everybody can have fun. It's money there. Like, we can all have stuff, right? So when you talk about the conquistadors, and they going and they seeing these Aztec people, and they dressed in gold because they just have it growing out of the ground. And you're like, wow, well, we never seen it like that. They want that.
Yep.
And you see these rappers with these cars, and they're like, you know, well, I want that. I want that. Like, that's the carnal nature of man. And I think, you know, I think the Most High that I was raised in Brownsville, because, like, stuff gets you robbed. You know, the wolves want that.
Yep.
So it's like it's certain things that I carry into rap. Like, I never was the guy who's like, when I get on, I'm gonna get a big chain. I'm gonna get a chain, but not like a big chain. I'm gonna get a ring, but not like a whole Big Daddy Kane 4-finger joint. Like, I'm gonna be shining, but just enough to show the progress, not to say, well, opulence is where we're trying to get to, and if you don't have that, then you're nothing. Like, that's not the messages.
I mean, most people are eating all that gold and all those jewels instead of their health. And,
Yeah, they want to me, mine. Well, you want to die like an Egyptian, and it's there, and then you would be robbed and pillaged. Like, I was walking down the street the other day, man, and for one split second, I got nervous, right? Because somebody was walking behind me, and I do not like that.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, I had to stop and just laugh at myself. I'm like, what you think is about to happen, bro? You think somebody gonna put a bullet in your head or something? Like, you think somebody wanna do something to you? Like, you nervous like that? Why? What happened?
I mean,
what did you do? Oh, the world is crazy. Right, okay, so, all right, the world's crazy. Somebody put a bullet in your head, then what? What you gonna do? You won't even know.
Yep.
So you're focusing on something that can possibly not even occur. Why are you putting that energy out? What type of seeds are you planting? So the power of, shifting those currents is within you. That's your God power.
Yep.
Do that. And I want to know, I'm just like admitting, like I'm going through the transition of coming from an alcoholic to sobriety and going, like, I have to be honest about certain things. That was not cool. So I want to.
And you're speaking of your father or you?
I'm both. Just like I'm for more so for me. More so for me that is, I guess what you call accountability, and saying, well, these are things that I've done wrong, and I want to change it moving forward. So that's my motivation for health. And I don't have no yogi or no guru or none of that. Nobody really rocks with me. A lot of the things that I bring around to the table, boot camp included, they be like, yo, Steele, you wild and get out of here with that. It's too much. You're doing too much.
Well, what was the thing that actually brought you to that? I don't want to skim over that brought you to stop drinking.
Aside from the fact that I knew that I was not being healthy, I was getting into fights with my loved ones. I was in a dark place. My depression had depression. I couldn't enjoy anything. And I couldn't see it getting any better. And then I was going to lose one of the most cherished people in my life. Like, I would have lost Cynical. She's been with me for a while, just in my corner, helping me do shit. I told you she was an inspiration for incorporating the company. And it's important to say that because at the time, all I knew was duck down. I was a loyal pup to duck down. And I've never spoken about this, but in 1999, because I was, everybody was terrified. Like 2000,
Y2K?
everything is, Y2K is a wrap. Like, but then you're around people who's like, man, whatever with that, man. We're gonna get this company. We're gonna do blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yo, that sounds like that sounds healthy. That sounds terrifying, but I'm willing to try it out. It's better than the stuff that I'm thinking about. And and then maybe the trauma was doing it. So I remember being on the phone with Drew Ha, going, yo, Bucktown, and I need, I'm the person that brought all these artists to Duck Down. Me. If I want to start talking like that in public, like this, me, I sound like everybody that want to take and tear down, right?
Yeah.
And die with the things. But I still need some of that. Because if I lose it and be like, well, what do I have? Like, I'm able to do these things. These important people, right? Cynical was like, yo, we're going to do the company. Like, while I'm negatived out, she was just this beacon of light. And she's seen me go through a lot of things, loss and things of that nature. She's been there for a lot of things. So that was like, for me, that was probably the last straw when I've seen that I was gonna lose her. And I had to say, well, what do I want? Am I willing to work to keep her? Am I willing to work to fix my life? Because I don't want to go out like that. I don't want to go out just to be like, the things that I'm doing is not purposeful. I'm just like not caring.
That blurred vision, that alcohol, man, will just...
And I was doing so good with it. I could drink so much Henny, man. I was like killing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's
this
funny
is
you
scary. I'm not even that drunk. This is scary. Like, dude, what am I doing? Now I'm just drinking this shit now. Like, it's like, but fighting sin, that was probably the worst thing for me. And then, because when we're fighting, like, I don't really care about nothing after that. Like, she's probably the last person that can really, like, keep me in a certain space. And, I lost it on my son one time, just, like, because hip-hop was stressful for me. And I lost it on my son one time. I'm black. And it was getting worse, man. I was in a dark place. There was no way to continue to lie about it. I was lying to myself, like, I got this. I didn't.
So you celebrated a year, right?
Yes.
So how did that,
and I'm scary about that. I'm scared about celebrating.
Why?
Celebrating ain't really much. I'm not really good at celebrating. I want to get in. I want to get it all the way in. No knee deep, waist deep. I want to get all the way in and feel it. And when I feel it, it just becomes normalized. I don't have to celebrate anymore. It's just like the wind blow, like give thanks for air type vibe,
I mean, but giving thanks is a celebration.
Yeah, but and I think
it's not like a birthday party. I mean,
that's the learning curve right there. That's the learning curve because it's okay to do that. And again, I can admittedly say, yeah, I'm learning how to do that. And it's crazy because we work in a profession where everybody is partying, right? It's like, but we're not.
we're working.
We're working.
Yeah.
So learning how to be at work and no, this is a good place to be. It's healthy. You're feeding. You're eating. This is God degree. Oh yeah, that's what the lessons talk about. The 12 jewels. Oh, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You should have said something then. Yeah, nah, I'm in tune. Now I can move different.
Yeah. But I think celebration is important, man. And however we do it, right? It doesn't have to be in the way. That's why I say it's not about what it looks like, the perception of that. It's what you give to it, right? And that could just be gratitude and thanks.
100%.
And be appreciative of that because, health is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, without health, we're not here.
Yeah.
Right? The example of the airplanes, right? Put your mask on first before you help anybody else. If you ain't here to put your mask on, how you helping anybody?
You won't know. You won't even know.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think those things are super important. But congratulations on that, bro. And just, again,
Thank you.
Keep going. One day at a time. Like everything else.
Yeah.
It's all practice. Like,
it's been tough and easy because you think about what you want. One of my friends said to me at a show, he's like, you can't perform without drinking. That shit hurt. Like, I was angry, and I was like, why am I angry? Because it hurt. Like, this is what you think of me. Like, the general and all that, but I can't perform without taking a drink? Wow, I'm weak. I'm that weak? I ain't like that. Like, that reminded me of Follow the Leader. I'm going to make this jump.
So it motivated you.
Yeah. I was already creeping. I was tiptoeing, but I ain't had no reason to pull a trigger. I was about to lose my girlfriend. One person I know loved me, just want the best for me. But if this person's ready to stop working on you, then you have reached a point. And it's like, all right, so what's really good? Here go this loser going, yo, you can't do that. Don't tell me I can't do something. I'm stupid. That's what Brownsville did. Brownsville made me crazy. You know what I mean? What I can't do? What I can't do?
Watch me.
Yeah.
That environment, bro.
If I can't do it, I'll punch you in your face. Don't play with me.
But you did it. And now you're doing
I did it. That's right.
And now you're doing it every year. So, a couple more. What's been the most pivotal experience in your life?
The most pivotal experience in my life, I don't even think I reached that yet. I feel like where I'm at right now, I like how Almitra said on their show the other day, said, I can see. Like my vision is just clearing up. I wish I had young legs though, because I feel like running. I feel like running, man. I feel like doing mad stuff, And, you know, sometimes it's scary because I'm like, this is how Pac was talking when we was in Cali. When he's like, yo, we're going to have tour, we're going to do this, we're going to do ba 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 ba. We was like, we gonna worry. That's Pac, we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like, that's one of the things I think one of my fears or phobias of celebrating. Because it could be your last, which, so what? So what?
But maybe that's why you should celebrate,
Maybe that's
because it could be your last.
You got to shake that. That
Yeah.
go in your room syndrome. You got to get that off your chest. The trauma cannot dictate your forward moves. It's difficult.
I mean, but it's easy at the same time, like you said before, right? It's all, everything that we need to do is easy. It's just difficult to make that decision to do the best.
Yeah. The process is, I guess the choices will probably be like, you know, like that card, I guess. You don't know what's on the other side, but you have to pick that card up.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Who's the most grounding person in your life?
The most grounding person in my life? Wow. That would be, that's between like Cynical, but that probably go to my homie, like my cuz, Kenny Montgomery, right? Our relationship is a different kind of relationship. And yeah, it would be him. Yeah, that's like, I would say if I cut all 9 fingers off, Kenny Dog would be the one finger I would keep. You know what I mean? Yeah, all around.
So that's just your brother.
Yeah, that's my
All right, so most grounding. Then who's been the most inspirational?
the most inspirational in this family, this hip hop family thing.
I mean, just in your world, period.
In my world.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people who can carry that title, but I'll condense it to someone that you all know, and I'll say Sean Price for me.
Okay. P.
Yeah, and we met before rap, because going to Brownsville to see my grandma, like you say, certain things you're supposed to be here at this time, you're supposed to be here. I didn't like going over there because it wasn't fun. She was kind of mean, but she wasn't. She was super cool. You know, I just wanted it to be loose. So going over there, I met Sean Price. Come on, fam. I was supposed to be there.
Yep.
I was supposed to be there. I knew him already. You know, I didn't know he was going to come back, spin the block, and be in a group, like, together, like, doing this thing, you know? So, yeah, that was, he inspires me, man. To this day, he inspires me. When I get down, I think about lines he say, things he just, you know, tell me. He always had an antidote for something, for everybody. And none of that was coerced. He'll try to get, to me, he's the most honest cat I've met. If he building with you, he building with you. You know, if you destroying, we destroy. That's what we doing. And the love that he has for his comrades and his family is beautiful. Like, I often say I want to be like Sean Price when I grow up. Word is fun.
Yeah, I didn't get the chance to meet him, I think once or twice, but yeah,
Word.
yeah, but his music still rings crazy.
Sean would take you on the journey. You know, Buck is like that too, but Sean is a different kind of cat. I didn't realize how interesting he was, how he'll take trauma and make it something that's palatable. Like, he's not gonna be like, no, don't worry, everything will be. He don't do that. That's not what you're getting with son. Like, he'll just, you're gonna laugh at something that's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna flip it and turn it into something else. Like, you know, one time I was at the bar and I was just down. Like, we on tour, Boot Camp tour, and I'm down, but I'm still on my righteous twist, right? I had the Bob Marley knitted hat with the knitted matching scarf. He's like, yo, you like a drunk Bob Marley. Right? I'm like, I'm sitting here sad and angry. I can't be sad and angry with this guy. He's not gonna let you be. I'm looking at myself. I looked foolish. You know what I'm saying? I was definitely had a conflict. I was in a conflict. He's like, yo, no sweet talking.
He just came with the spotlight, shining light on the whole
He
situation.
just sat next to me. Bro, you like get drunk by mom, bro. Like, yo, you right. I gotta change this. Like, you know, like, yo, that's another thing about Brownsville. You got talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at bullies and all of that, it's like, well, we have bullies. It's not, was that intense? Like, you know, you had to navigate through that too. But,
I feel like in those type of places, everybody's a bully to a certain extent.
yeah, we all was doing it. We was cracking jokes on each other. Like, look at this guy. Like, we had mad jokes on it. If you was the butt in, you was the butt in. But not to the point where we wanted to destroy you. So it becomes a little vicious at times. But like Sean Price was able to, like, everybody, well, most of the people, like 99.9% of the people that came across him loved him or enjoyed him. Like, and he says some stuff that I could say the same thing he could say.
That wouldn't
It
fly.
would not work. Man. It wouldn't work. He just said it though. Nah, it's not gonna happen.
Nah, it's different.
Nah. And I remember having like we was doing a Boot Camp album, and you know I'm like, yo man, he said a rap, and I'm like, I'm not feeling that rhyme, bro. And he was just laughing at me. He's like, yo, why not? Like, we would go at it because I'm like this, you know, this kicking knowledge, and he's like the total other
He's
vibe.
just going,
He like,
I'm just
yo,
going to
yo.
destroy everything about your whole world. And I'm going to step on you and stand over you. And I mean it.
My name on it. Like, it's real, man.
I ain't going to run.
That's inspiring, bro. Like, he ain't no back down guy. He's not trying to go, all right, this is what y'all want. This is what, okay, let me, nah, this is you know, like Little Fame said, I like Price for the same reason that you just said. And he was like that when we was going to printing. He was like that when we was when we met Heritage House in Brownsville. So when you guys met him, I already knew he was like that. I was like, yo, meet this, like the food I tasted some good. I would have loved to share that. You know what I'm saying? So like, and also I guess for me it was great to show that I was friends with somebody that was cool too. You know. So yeah, man, he was extremely inspirational. Everybody he met, like, people come to me, I want to meet Sean. Like, how you notice it? You know what I mean? It's like, wow, like.
I mean, he was like the gas. Like, he was like the fuel. You know, that's what I got from looking from the outside.
So it was a blessing. You know, it's a blessing. And I got to give credit to Rockman's Monster because he, again, the first rapper. He was already rapping out of the whole boot camp. When I met Buck, he wasn't rapping. You know what I'm saying? Tech wasn't rapping. I even know them other OGC cats. Nobody was paying them no mind. Like, Rock was like, yo, he found, I got my partner. You know? So he was keen enough to have these people, and they was just right there. You know?
Dope. I'm dedicating this season to the amazing DJ Clark Kent, my big bro.
Yeah.
You got any good stories or memories of Big Bro? I feel like everybody in Brooklyn has something.
Well, yeah, I have good stories with him, but I would say in his passing, I went to the service, and then, you know, I got to hear people talk about him, and I was like, yo, I want to be like that when I grow up. Word up.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. All you know is the jerseys, it's like, you know, the hats, crispy fitted. But you don't know the work that go behind the figureheads. These people are doing some fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And I was sitting there going, yo, I'm not ready to go yet. I got stuff to do. I want to be like that when I grow up, man. Hopefully I can touch people and they will get up and say something cool. Because I always just say, don't come to my funeral, I'm going to haunt you. You know what I mean? Burn me, throw me in Brownsville, dirtiest water you can find. But it's like, nah, people need to remember. They need that. Let them have that memory.
Yeah.
You gone, you out of here. Hopefully they can learn something from your lessons and experience. Your journey.
Nah, that's a beautiful one, bro. It was, that was a tough one, but that was a beautiful memory for him.
Yeah, nah, I was floating. I'm looking at his wife, how strong she is.
Yeah.
You know? And and Big Man is crying. He's like, yo, when I felt that. often think about, I've been to other funerals. I've been to the other ones where there's nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like out as a kid, I'm like, certain people you don't like in the family, you don't go around them.
Mm.
So those are people like that right now. Like your funeral gonna be empty, fam.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you don't care right now, but you care.
Mm.
You care. You care. I did an interview to ask me how was it like when Biggie passed away. It was like I was out of the country, but I knew it was a parade in the street.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I want to be like that when I grow up.
Yeah.
He did work in his lifetime. It should be meaningful to someone other than yourself.
I said continue to live the life you've been living, bro. It's gonna be there. But appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for hanging out,
Yes.
taking the mask off and being real. This was a good one.
Therapy. Bill me.
Yeah.
Salute, I'm the General Steele, and you're watching Mask Off with Hawaii Mike.